Welcome to this deep dive into Sun Tzu's The Art of War. We're exploring how age old strategy applies to modern business, sports, and even personal challenges.
I'm excited about this discussion. Can you kick us off with the big picture?
Sure, well, at its core, Sun Tzu teaches that the best victory is one achieved without a direct fight. It's essentially about winning by strategy and planning rather than brute force.
So it's like using your smarts to outmaneuver the opponents? Very intriguing.
Exactly. One major idea is winning without fighting, where Sun Tzu suggests supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting.
Yeah,
This means using tactics like diplomacy and preemptive strategy to avoid costly confrontations.
that really challenges the common notion that conflict must be met head on. It's more nuanced, right?
Absolutely. And then there's the second big idea knowing oneself and knowing the enemy. Sun Tzu basically underscores that if you understand both your strengths and weaknesses and do the same for your opponent, victory is almost assured. This principle has been translated into modern settings like business analysis or even preparing for a sports game.
That makes sense. For example, market research, right? Companies are studying competitors and their own capabilities side by side to carve out a winning strategy.
Yes, exactly. Think about companies like Apple and Samsung. They keep a close eye on each other, not necessarily to start a direct battle, but to be prepared and flexible. And it's like a strategic chess game
Yeah.
with every move considered.
I love that analogy. So, besides not engaging directly, what else is in Sun Tzu's playbook?
Next up are several key principles, including preparation and planning. Sun Tzu talks at length about evaluating factors such as moral influence, terrain, weather, and even the doctrine. It's all about being ready and flexible.
And don't forget deception. The Art of War famously says, all warfare is based on deception. It's kind of amazing how that trick has its echoes today in, advertising or even sports tactics.
Totally. Deception here doesn't mean being unethical, it's more about creating misdirection. For instance, a company might leak info about a product launch to distract competitors, while its main innovation remains under wraps.
Right?
That's strategic misdirection at its best.
Speaking of misdirection, isn't there a risk that such tactics could be seen as unethical? In business, especially, playing with deception might backfire if it crosses certain lines.
You raise a good point. There's indeed a fine line. Sun Tzu's ideas are ethical within the competitive framework. But as you said, in modern settings, one must be cautious. The strategy works best when it's controlled and within legal boundaries. Nothing outright fraudulent. So it's all about, smart strategy rather than deceit for deceit's sake.
That definitely puts a modern spin on it. Now, how does adaptability feature in his philosophy?
Adaptability is another pillar. Sun Tzu advocates for adjusting tactics as circumstances change.
Yeah.
If you stick to a rigid plan, you're doomed when the enemy changes his play. Adaptability means being like water, fluid and ready to shift strategy.
That's a powerful image. And it's so relevant today, whether you're managing a crisis or just changing career paths.
Exactly. Consider situations like a sudden shift in market trends, for instance. A company that adapts quickly can turn a potential disaster into an advantage. It's about resilience and being open to recalibration.
It really seems Sun Tzu anticipated the complexities we face now. How does resource management tie into all of this?
Great question. Resource management is about efficiently utilizing what you've got, be it time, energy, or money. Sun Tzu's advice to avoid what is strong, attack what is weak, pushes you to concentrate your resources where they can actually make an impact. This is applicable whether you're planning a business venture
Yeah.
or even just negotiating a raise.
That practical side of it is really appealing. For instance, preparing for a job interview by strategically highlighting your strengths rather than going head to head with every competitor.
Precisely. It's about creating a scenario where you are set to win even before stepping into the battle zone. Preparation is like the blueprint of success. It guides decision making by clarifying goals and identifying potential risks.
And when you combine that with effective resource management, you're essentially saying plan thoroughly, know your limits, and concentrate your efforts where they matter most.
Right on. Now, let's shift gears to some real life applications. Sun Tzu's ideas even stretch beyond military or corporate strategy. Think about sports coaching, studying your opponent's moves, adapting your game plan, and choosing battles
Yeah.
wisely. A coach might analyze their opponent's formations and shift tactics mid game.
That's spot on. And in politics, candidates might adjust strategies based on polling data, turning potential conflicts into opportunities for alliances.
Exactly. It shows that these principles, while ancient, are like universal tools for mastering challenges. The ability to foresee consequences, prepare meticulously, and be adaptable is timeless.
Let's revisit the idea of winning without fighting for a moment. How can someone apply that concept to personal goals?
Oh, that's a great point. For personal goals, it means leveraging strategy to bypass obstacles rather than confronting them head on. Say you're dealing with a hard to work with colleague. Instead of constantly clashing, seek out common ground to
Right,
build a collaborative solution. It's like turning a potential conflict into an opportunity for mutual growth.
And what about self awareness? How does that come into play?
Knowing yourself, your strengths, and your weaknesses is key. Sun Tzu's famous line, if you know the enemy and know yourself, is equally valuable in personal development. It's about recognizing internal challenges like procrastination or self doubt, and then strategizing ways to overcome them.
That process sounds like a path to not just achieving goals, but truly growing as a person.
Absolutely. By taking stock of your intrinsic capabilities and the external landscape, you can pick your battles wisely. It prevents you from wasting energy on things that aren't
Yeah.
worth it. And sometimes the best move is to let things go.
I appreciate that nuance. It's not always about fighting to win, but sometimes winning by letting go.
Exactly. And then there's strategic deception, another intriguing area. In modern business, for instance, companies might use feints to protect real innovations. They release signals that lead competitors on the wrong track while they focus on their core strengths.
And in sports, techniques like fake passes or misdirection in play action are examples of that deception working on the field. It keeps opponents guessing.
Right, it's a careful balance of misdirection and genuine strength. Though I will say, some critics argue that constant reliance on deception might erode trust in the long run if taken too far. It's a
Yeah.
debate that continues, balancing competitive edge and ethical considerations.
Absolutely, it's a delicate dance. Moving on, how do preparation and resource management ultimately influence decision making?
Well, preparation equips you with the clarity needed to outline options and anticipate risks. With thorough planning, you make decisions based on a solid foundation of research rather than impulse. And resource management then ensures you apply that knowledge within realistic constraints.
So, in a way, they work hand in hand. Preparation gives you the roadmap, and resource management makes sure your journey is sustainable.
Exactly. Whether you're launching a new product or preparing for a crucial interview, doing your homework and understanding what resources you have versus what you need can be the decisive factor for success.
Right. It's really fascinating how these ancient principles continue to offer actionable insights for our modern dilemmas.
Indeed, Sun Tzu's advice about strategy, self awareness, deception, and adaptability is not only rooted in military history, but is a timeless guide for navigating today's complex world.
And ultimately, it teaches us to approach life with a smarter, more flexible mindset, closer to winning without fighting.
Precisely. So, as we wrap up, remember that success, whether in business, sports, or personal growth, often comes from being prepared, knowing yourself and your opponent, and continuously adapting to change. Thanks for joining this exploration of Sun Tzu's wisdom.
Yeah,